Oh, what is the upskis, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GXHockeyCast. We're on episode 113, Matt Sundin of my little hockey show, where once a week I just go through all the news and what's happenings in the NHL, mainly focusing in on the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Calgary Flames. Those are my two favorite teams, but I'll be talking about all 32 teams on this podcast. And holy shit, everybody, we actually have some real news this week. Couple of juicy pieces of news too. So, all right, let's just start with the hot topic that everyone is talking about on Twitter and everything. Austin Matthews is going to become the next captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Officially, they're going to have a press conference, a big hoopla on Wednesday. And yeah, dude, about fucking time. Austin Matthews will be the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Will that be the move that makes them win the Stanley Cup? I highly doubt it. But hey, it's been Austin's team for years now. I mean, honestly, ever since Austin was supposed to be given the captaincy 3-4 years ago, and then he accidentally pulled his pants down, got in trouble, a little pee-pee whack, and then they no more captaincy for you. They gave it to John Tavares, who I not once complained about being captain. I understand why he's the captain. I think he was a great captain, but it's time. It's clearly Austin Matthews' team. He's the leader, man. Like, everyone looks to him for the offense, for the big play, for something. He's always the quote. Like, everyone's going to him, and he's not afraid of the media. Not saying that Tavares is afraid of the media, but he's a silent leader. He leads by example. He leads through his play, but he's not the best player on the team anymore. So, and I mean, that's just not a slight against him. It's just fakes. And I love John Tavares. I want him to stick around. Even after this contract, I hope he can stick around with his hometown team on a nice hometown discount and finish it out in Toronto. Wouldn't that be a lot of fun? Or if he really wants to chase a Stanley Cup, maybe go somewhere who's a little bit more in contention. But hey, Austin Matthews as the captain of this team, hey, they better be offering up free jersey alterations so I can get C's put on all my Matthews jerseys. I have three Matthews jerseys right now. So yeah, you gotta put C's on all them some bitches, and I want it done for free. But that's laughable. Come on now, it's business. It's not going to be free, but they'll do it for us for like $50 more than likely. Oh boy. So, what does this mean for the Leafs? Like I said, it doesn't really change anything, honestly. It's just now that it's official. Matthews has basically been the captain of the team anyway. It's just, now it's really going to be all on him. I think now more than ever, we're going to see more pressure put onto Matthews' shoulders. Like how it's usually been all falling on Marner, Tavares when they don't win in the playoffs. I think now you're going to start seeing it go to Matthews more than ever. And he's going to really have to step up now. If they make it into the playoffs and Matthews has they go 7 games, he gets 3-4 points, like 1 goal, fucking 2 or 3 assists, like there's going to be hell to pay for that. And you're the captain now, buddy, so you're going to have to step out in front of it and right that ship and probably say the same things that they say every year, like, oh, we're devastated, we're going to try so much hard, we did everything. Yeah, right. Anyway, I'm happy that Austin Matthews is the captain. John Tavares is willingly handing it over. There's no drama there. I think it's been written in stone for quite some time. Like, at some point, the passing of the torch is going to happen. Like, it's nothing against Tavares, and I think he realizes that, which is good. So hopefully there's no animosity there. I feel like they're still going to be close as a team, and yeah, this is extremely exciting for the Leafs. It's going to be fun to have him as the captain, the real voice of the team, because he is the representation of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's by far the most popular player. He's maybe arguably the most popular player in the league. Like, it's very, very popular. So yes, it makes a ton of sense to have this guy representing one of the biggest teams in the league. Yes, it's a win. It's a win. I can't see anything possibly going wrong ever with this decision. So now we get some drama in Edmonton. Huge drama right here in Edmonton. We have an offer sheet, folks. Oh my goodness. So these are rare. rarely get a offer sheet. An offer sheet, if you don't know, is you are able to offer a contract to a restricted free agent of a team, of a player that doesn't belong to you. They're restricted, so you can offer them a contract. They can accept the contract, and if the team that has the rights to that player does not match the offer, then that player's gone, and they will get compensated for, depends on the money, like if it's like $7 million plus on the contracts, like multiple first round picks. We're not worried about that right here. So we got the St. Louis Blues are at it again. So Philip Broberg of the Edmonton Oilers and Dylan Holloway have accepted offer sheets from the St. Louis Blues for, I would say, significantly more than their market value right now. So with Philip Broberg, there has been a 2-year $4.580,917 for Broberg. That's a lot of fucking money. Like, he was good in the playoffs last year. He's a young, I think 23-year-old defenseman, and it really looks like he has kind of started to break out for the Edmonton Oilers. He's been looking for a solidified spot on their roster for quite some time, and I feel like this would be the year where he really solidified himself in that defensive core, get into that top four, hopefully. But $4.5 million, and Edmonton has no money. They have no money. I think they're already $7 million over the fucking salary cap. So this is a highly intelligent move by the St. Louis Blues right here. And on top of that, they have offered Dylan Holloway $2,290,557. And these are very, very specific numbers. We rarely see numbers like this for contracts. So there is definitely some math. There's definitely a plan here by the St. Louis Blues to try and pry away these players from Edmonton. Now, if you're an Edmonton Oilers fans, you might be freaking out a little bit, but let's just say, for example, they do lose both of these players. I don't think either of these players are like the straw that'll break the camel's back that won't get Edmonton to the finals or win a Stanley Cup. Yes, Broberg played some very important games for the Oilers in the playoffs, but he wasn't there for the whole run. And so they were able to make it where they made it last season without these players being, big parts of the team. But the way that it's shaping up for this season, these two players could be very big pieces of this season. And 2.29 or whatever million, it's lower, but that's still quite a lot more than what I imagine Edmonton would be looking to pay him. And same with Broberg, like $4.5 million. They are not fucking around with that money right there. That's a lot of money. And I think Broberg, like, he can earn that in 2 years. I don't think that would be a bad contract. It's short term, and it could really pay off. And if St. Louis gets both of these players, like, yeah, dude, like they've been doing this. They've been bringing in young, kind of not really reclamation projects, but they brought in young guys that haven't found spots in their lineups on their teams and brought them over there and gave them shots. And like, Philip Broberg would be, I think, awesome for St. Louis. And Dylan Holloway, why not? They can always use some more forwards and speed over there. Why not? But, this is a problem for Edmonton. I have no fucking idea how the hell they're going to get out of this one. All they can really do is try to figure out a way to get rid of Cody Ceci, which we all know is going to be very, very difficult. They may not even want to get rid of the guy. They seem to just love him. But they got to try and get rid of that money. There are some other players, like Evander Kane has still been a talking point with the team. That's like 5 something. So if they are able to get rid of Evander Kane and Cody Ceci, they can easily get out of this problem. But easier said than done, right? If it was to be done, I think it would have been done already. But now there's a fire under your ass because I think you have 1 week to match the offer. So something's going to have to get done, or they're just going to let these guys walk and take the draft picks. I don't know what the draft picks would be. I would say probably like a second and a third or so. It wouldn't be enough. Absolutely wouldn't be what these players are worth. Like Philip Broberg, if you were trading this guy away, you're getting easily a first and something. Dylan Holloway, I don't really know. But Yeah, for to lose them for the compensation would not be good. That would definitely not be good. These guys have value. They're young. They're up and coming prospects. Like, yeah, they and for me, it looks like they could have a role on the team this year. But yeah, that's really the only thing that I can see them trying to do is trying to get rid of Cody Cece's contract, which, like I said, is tough. They have the Evander Kane at $5 million. That one, I feel like you can move that. It shouldn't, like, I know Evander Kane hasn't been great, but he's always awesome when he first gets to a new team. And then, like, after a year, he starts to, get into his bullshit, whatever he's doing. But usually, like, the first year or two of Evander Kane on a new team is pretty awesome. So I remember he was pretty damn good when he first got to Edmonton. I don't know, I might be wrong about that too, but yikes, man, yikes a little bit here for Edmonton. This is definitely a shot across the bow. This is going to be very, very interesting to see. I'm wondering what y'all think is going to happen here. Is Edmonton going to be able to get them both back? Are they going to lose them both, or are they only going to be able to keep one? And if I can only keep one, I'm definitely picking Broberg. Nothing against Holloway. It's just defensemen are harder to come by, I feel like. And I think Broberg is pretty damn good and is going to be getting better. So, I don't know, man. If I can only pick one, I'd go Broberg. But Dylan Holloway, he's pretty damn good also. He's really fast. I think he's the one that's really fast. Yikes. It's going to be tough, man. So, since we're talking about offer sheets, let's go back and take a look at some of the other players that got offer sheeted. And some of these I completely forgot about. All right, so we had Ryan Kessler in 2006 got offer sheeted by Philadelphia for a $1.9 million offer that would have definitely, it was this one I don't remember, so I don't think it was really anything. You got the Thomas Vanek one in 2007. I remember this one being not so great for Buffalo. Edmonton makes the offer on him, and Buffalo keeps him, and yeah, they might have been better off letting him go. Like, Vanek was really good, but once he got this contract, it was like he was very highly paid. He had Dustin Penner. When he was playing with Anaheim, he got offer sheeted by Edmonton, and Anaheim keeps him, and they go on to win the Stanley Cup, I do believe. So yeah, Dustin Penner, that was an interesting one. David Backes in 2008. Apparently Vancouver made an offer sheet on him. I don't remember that one. See, there's a lot of St. Louis and Vancouver. Steve Bernier, Vancouver, and St. Louis makes the offer on Steve Bernier in 2008. A 1-year, $2.6 million offer sheet was made to Bernier. God damn. And we got Nicholas Hjalmarsson in 2010 when he was playing for Chicago. San Jose Sharks made him an offer to a 4-year, $14 million offer sheet. And that was right when Chicago won the Stanley Cup, and they're already losing. They already lost a whole bunch of people. They lost Bufflin, they lost Versteeg, Andrew Ladd, and if they lost Hjalmarsson as well, who's I don't know if they're winning more Stanley Cups then without Hjalmarsson back there as well. Shea Weber famously with Nashville got offer sheeted by Philadelphia, a massive 14-year. $110 million fucking contract with bonuses and all that crap. Somehow Nashville, they match it, and Shea Weber is still on that contract, even though he has not played for quite some time now. Well, this is interesting. Ryan O'Reilly, when he played with Colorado, was offer sheeted by the Calgary Flames. I did not know that. So, Europe during the end of the clear waivers before signing with a new team, they would have meant the Flames would have given up 2 draft picks, then immediately lost O'Reilly for nothing. So, all right. Well, thankfully, the Flames did not make that mistake. That would have been bad. And one of the more recent ones was Sebastian Aho with the Montreal Canadiens. That one was a laugher. Like, Carolina couldn't have. They probably called Montreal. They flew to Montreal and personally hugged their GM. Like, thank you for giving us a bargain contract to sign our superstar to, so thanks. And then the most recent one, Jesper Kotkaniemi, stolen away by the Carolina Hurricanes from the Montreal Canadiens, so there's definitely some beef right there. And they successfully did it. They take away Jasper Kotkaniemi, and Montreal said, sure, take him. And so far, it's been the right move for the Montreal Canadiens. Kotkaniemi has not lived up to that near $5 million contract, and it's a shame, man. That sucks. I like Kotkaniemi. He's a solid player. He just hasn't made it yet, which sucks. So, yeah, those are the offer sheets. Do you remember any of those going down? The only one I really remember was the Shea Weber one. That was because it was such a massive deal. 14 years, like, it's a contract you can't do those no more, but that was fucking crazy. Speaking of crazy, I think it is time that we dive into the craziness that is the NHL overviews, and I think I know what team I want to start out with. I want to start out with the Detroit Red Wings. Let's talk about the Detroit Red Wings. So we'll go over to Puckpedia, which I probably should have already had everything ready for you guys, but you know, I'm a professional over here. I know everything that I'm doing. So we'll find the Detroit Red Wings. Here they are. The other team I'm thinking about doing is Ottawa, because, you know, when you talk about Detroit, you kind of talk about Buffalo, and then you kind of talk about Ottawa, because they're like these three up-and-coming teams that just haven't been able to make it to the playoffs. And we'll talk about it again. Will Detroit make the playoffs this season after missing it for, 8 years now? I don't know how long. It's been a long time since Detroit has made it into the playoffs after being a perennial fucking playoff team for like 30 straight years and Stanley Cups, all that greatness. But the end had to come at some point, and it did. And they're still fighting their way out of it. But they have $17 million in cap space right now, so they have money to play with. They could offer sheet people too if they want to do it. In terms of draft picks, they have everything except their fourth, and they have an extra 7th round pick. So they're fine on the draft pick board. They can make moves with draft picks, or they can hang on to them and continue to try and build up a team of prospects. But we know there's a lot of prospects with Detroit. So we look at their forward group. All right. So you have Dylan Larkin. Dylan Larkin, fantastic player. There's always that argument, is this guy a true top-line center? Is this guy a superstar? What is Dylan Larkin all about? At $8.7 million, I can tell you right now, it's a fantastic deal. And I think Dylan Larkin, in a way, is kind of underrated. He doesn't really get his flowers. I think last season he was fantastic. 68 games, 33 goals, 36 assists, 69 points. Very nice. Very nice. He just had a nice, fully healthy season. Could have been in and around, maybe he gets to 90 points. But a point-a-game player right now for that money is great. But is he really the top-line center that Detroit needs to make it to a Stanley Cup? I mean, honestly, they're not thinking about Stanley Cup right now. They're just trying to get to the fucking playoffs. And I think, friggin' Dylan Larkin is a great top-line center. Is he the best in the league? No. But he's scored 30-plus goals the last 3 straight seasons. Like him. Dylan Larkin. Hell yeah. And a great contract. For the next 4 years he is on. So, yeah, they got to strike while the iron is hot. They have Alex DeBrincat, who they brought in last season from Ottawa for $7.875 million. Not a bad deal at all. But, I mean, DeBrincat, the way that he started last season, he looked like he was going to score 50 goals. And he really did taper out throughout the season. Only ended up with 27 goals, 40 assists, 67 points, which, again, for his contract isn't bad, but you want more than 27 goals out of DeBrincat. Like, the guy's a goal scorer, and he's not even the top goal scorer on the team. There's 2 other guys that got more goals than him. And, so that may not be awesome right there. You want DeBrincat to score more than 30 goals. That would be ideal. Excuse me, goodness gracious. We got Andrew Kopp, who's been definitely a little bit of a disappointment since he showed up from Winnipeg. At $5.625 million, you're definitely going to be wanting more. Let's see, if I can find him on this. Oh man, how far down are you in the stat sheet? Holy shit. I can't find him. Andrew Kopp, there he is, 79 games, 13 goals, 20 assists, 33 points, and he was a -2. You're definitely going to want a lot more than that out of Andrew Kopp. I know he's not just a production. He doesn't just put up points. He definitely is a two-way forward. But at a -2, you want better defense than that as well. Yeah, you're going to want more than that. And before I go too far, the Detroit Red Wings were 9th in goals for goals per game last season. They were 24th in goals against. They had a 9th place power play and a 14th place penalty kills. So they were able to score goals, but could not keep the puck out of the net last season. And when I'm looking at their goaltenders, they used 4 different goalies last season. Okay, so there's a little bit of a problem in net. But before we get there, back over here. So Vladimir Tarasenko brought him over, $4.75 million for the 32-year-old winger. I think it's a little bit rich, but Tarasenko didn't even do all that much last season. Was he in Florida all last year or something? No, he was with Ottawa, then got traded to Florida, won himself a Stanley Cup. In Ottawa, he actually wasn't bad. 41 points in 57 games. Not bad, actually. 17 goals, and then in 19 games of Florida, he put up 14 points. All right, not bad at all for Tarasenko, so that can hopefully help out a little bit with some more offense. And then you have Patrick Kane, who was unfucking believable for Detroit last season, so if he can keep doing that at $4 million, and if Patrick Kane is doing like a point per game or more, wow, that is an absolute bargain. You have Michael Rasmussen, $3.2 million for the next 4 seasons. At 25 years old, let's see. Where was he? Who am I talking about here? Okay. Trying to find him. Rasmussen. So in 75 games, 33 points. The exact same thing as Andrew Kopp. But he was a +8, so not a bad season. Looking for a little bit more offense. He's 25 years old now, so he may be just like what he is right now, but Michael Rasmussen, not a bad contract. You got Joe Veleno, who's been 24 years old. He was a late first-round draft pick, trying to find his spot in the NHL. He got himself a contract from Detroit, 2 years, $2.275 million. They have Christian Fischer, Tyler Mott down there as well, and they have the big dog, Lucas Raymond, who they still need to sign. So this is a majority, if not all, of their $17 million is going to go to Lucas Raymond and Maurice Seider. So with Lucas Raymond first, he was their leading scorer last season for the Detroit Red Wings. He had, well, of course, now I lost my statistics, so I won't have him up in front of me, but he was the leading scorer for them last year. Bonafide breakout season, you would say. Okay, here we go. Statistics loading. Oh, it won't load because there's no playoff stats because they didn't make the playoffs. Lucas Raymond, 82 games, 31 goals, 41 assists, 72 points. That is what's up, Lucas Raymond. Now, he has officially arrived in the NHL. He's, not going to say a superstar or anything just yet, but he is definitely a big bad player for the Detroit Red Wings right now. Yeah, he's 57 points, 45 points, and 72 points. So this is his first 30-goal season, so he's going to be looking to replicate that. And he's going to be getting paid this time. It's just a big question of, how much money are they going to pay Lucas Raymond? Is it 8? Is it 9? Is it more? I can't see it being more than $9 million, but probably going to be playing around that $8 million area, I would have to think. Kind of in and around where they play with a lot of their other stars. It's going to be difficult for them to pay, more than Dylan Larkin at 8.7. So maybe 8.5, 8-year extension. That could be maybe what they're looking at for Lucas Raymond in Detroit. They also haven't signed Berggren, Jonathan Berggren. All right, so let's say I don't think they're not going to sign Lucas Raymond. I think that's going to get done. I don't think there's any worry about that. It's a good forward core. If Tarasenko was 3 years younger and Patrick Kane was 5 years younger, oh my goodness. So with their top 6, you're looking at Dylan Larkin, DeBrincat, Patrick Kane, Vladimir Tarasenko, Lucas Raymond. It's pretty good, man. And if, like I said, Patrick Kane is definitely going to be a big player. If he can stay healthy and he continues that production that he was doing last season, all right, Detroit could be doing pretty well in terms of offense. They also have JT Compher, who I went over, $5.1 million for the next 4 seasons. And yeah, I don't think he really blew it. I mean, he wasn't bad. 77 games, 19 goals, 29 assists, 48 points. Not bad. About 20 goals, I think that's fair. If you can get Andrew Kopp up to that level, like you need to be in and around 50 points and being a solid defensive player as well, then that could definitely help them out. So I think their forward group is pretty good. Pretty good, I would say damn good. Let's go with a damn good because I like their forward group. They have good players, and they have young players that are only going to be getting a little bit better. And hopefully Lucas Raymond can build on a really good season from last year. So defense, they're still not looking very great here on defense. So they have Moritz Seider. He's an absolute stud, 23-year-old defenseman, shoots right, and he needs a contract as well. So I would think the same thing, probably in and around $8 to $9 million. Hopefully they can get him locked in for the 8 years. I think these two players will be worth the 8-year extension, though I'm not really big on 8-year extensions. Like, personally, if I was the player, I would be looking for shorter term contracts, especially if I was a superstar player. Do the Matthews thing. Like, he knows what he's worth, and he's going to readjust his salary every 3 to 5 years. I think that's the smart thing to do. But I understand, you never know what's going to happen, so just lock it in. Just lock it in. So with their defense, they have Moritz Seider, like I said. He's fantastic. He's a stud. He's 23 now, so I think he's going to be very comfortable in the league. He did kind of have a off sophomore season, but he bounced back pretty strong last year. They have Ben Sherratt, 4.75 for the next 2 years. He's all right. Justin Hull for the next 2 years, 3.4. He's maybe less than all right. Oli Mata, 1 year, $3 million. Jeff Petrie, 1 year, $2.3 million. They have Eric Gustafsson they brought in for $2 million. I like that addition. That's good. And then they have Simone Edvinsson, who has been looking to crack into the NHL. This could be a season, man, and hopefully for Detroit it is. 21-year-old defenseman. There's been a lot of hype around him ever since he got drafted, so I'm ready for the hype. Let's see what he's got, and hopefully he can make it into the lineup this season. You have William Lagesson, kind of a depth defenseman. Not impressed with this defense, honest to God. This is where they're very, very weak right now. I'm seeing a lot of top 6 guys, lower end, Jeff Petrie's 36 now. He's not the if he was 30, and he hasn't been good for Detroit. This isn't a great defensive core at all. Definitely should have been trying to upgrade that a little bit. And then in net, they have Ville Husso, who had kind of a disaster season last year. He only got into 19 games, so yeah, he was injured and he played terribly. 3.55 goals against was the worst on the team, and an .892 save percentage, also the worst, and you're making the most money and you're playing the worst, so that's bad. They had Alex Lyon, who played a majority of the games, 44 games played, 21 wins, 18 losses, 5 overtime losses, 305 goals against, and a .904 save percentage. So not bad, not above average, around average. They had James Reimer. He's no longer with the team, but he got into 25 games, 11, 8, and 2, 311 goals against, and a .904. So he was good, not great, didn't win him a whole bunch of extra games, didn't lose him a whole bunch of extra games, but Ville Husso's got to get his shit together and cannot be putting up a 92. That's not good. That's not good at all. So they got to get their goaltending figured out right here. They did bring in Cam Talbot. He's 37 years old now, making $2.5 million for the next 2 seasons. He can help, but I don't see him being much more of an upgrade over James Reimer or anything, maybe minor. And then they have Alex Lyon, who played a majority of their games, is only making $900,000 for the next year. So they have, if Ville Husso shits the bed again, they have Cam Talbot and Alex Lyon to back him up. Not a bad backup tandem right there, but their goaltending, it's not incredible. With that defense in front of it, yikes, man. I'm really not convinced that Detroit has done enough, especially on the back end, to get them into the playoffs. They're kind of doubling down on the offense a little bit, which was good for them last year. They had good offense. They were able to score. They were a top 10 team in offense, but defense wins, baby. And if you don't have good defense, you don't have good goaltending, good fucking luck, especially in that division. So the way I'm looking at Detroit right now, I don't believe they're going to make the playoffs, but hopefully I am wrong about that one. That would be good. But let me know, what do you think about the Detroit Red Wings? Do you think these guys have they done enough to get themselves in? Or are they just, is the Yzer plan becoming a little bit of a failure? We'll have to see, man. Like, it's, they're always the most interesting team to see. It's like Ottawa, Detroit, and Buffalo. It's like, one of these teams, are they going to break the curse and finally make it into the playoffs? I mean, I was low on Detroit last season, then they ended up being pretty decent. They didn't make it into the playoffs. None of those three teams did, but Detroit was close at times. They were fighting, especially early on. They looked like, holy shit, they're going to do it, and then it just kind of petered out, and that's that. So I'm not really impressed with Detroit the way that their team is right now, but let me know what you guys think of the Detroit Red Wings. I don't have them looking like a playoff team to me. Okay, so let's go over to their partner, basically, in crime. When you talk about Ottawa already said it. All right, we're talking about Ottawa because we talked about Detroit. So let's see if Ottawa has a team built up now that could make it into the playoffs. Oh dear. So they were 20th in goals for last season, 27th in goals against, 24th in power play, and 29th in penalty kill. This team sucked last year in pretty much everything. I would say I feel like almost everybody underperformed. It was a shitty year for the Ottawa Senators. So, with all that being said, let's take a look at their draft capital, see how they're doing there. They own pretty much everything. They don't have a fourth round this year. They don't have a second or a fourth or a seventh in 26th. And they're all good in 27. They have 2 extra thirds in 26 and an extra sixth in 26. So they have all their first rounders in play. Who knows what they're going to be doing with any of those things. It's, yeah, man, it's been rough for Ottawa for a couple of seasons with all new owners and management, all this shit coming in, and all the talks about a new building eventually being made. It's just been a lot of outside noise and distractions from what on paper looks like should have been a good team, a team good enough to make it to the playoffs, but still haven't done it. And last season, we start off with Brady Tkachuk, 81 games, 37 goals, 37 assists, 74 points. Good season on paper, but I think Brady Tkachuk is capable of more than that. I think he could be a 40-goal scorer, a 90-point player, and yeah, he just didn't. I mean, it's a good season, like 37 goals. You can't knock that. But for Brady Tkachuk, a little bit of an off year. And then Timmy Stützle, he had a hell of an off season. 75 games, 18 goals, 52 assists, 70 points. And yeah, that's just not really going to. I mean, he's on a solid contract, $8.35 million for the next 4 seasons. And Brady Tkachuk on basically the same thing, 8.2 for the next 4 seasons. So in terms of cap, 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 I don't know, they're doing well with the cap. They're giving them proper amounts of money, but Timmy Stützle really dropped off from the season that they had prior, where he had 90 points, so he dropped 20 points. He had 39 goals, and he went down to 18 goals. So, yeah, a really rough season for Timmy Stützle. Again, it's probably because I drafted him. Every time I draft a guy that's always good, they never do good for me. So I apologize, Ottawa Senators fans, for choosing Timmy Stützle, but I like him. He's an awesome player. But I can see a bounce back easily for Timmy Stützle. Maybe he doesn't get to that 90 points, but I think he's definitely better get more than 70 points. You have Joshua Norris, who's making $7.95 for the next 4 years. So there's kind of like this 4-year window that they got open right now, and Norris was injured a lot. He missed 32 games last year, only got into 50, 16 goals, 14 assists, 30 points. It was okay. That's fine. But for $7 million, maybe a little bit more production out of him than that. So Drake Batherson had himself a pretty good season. 28 goals, 38 assists, 66 points. And he's making $4.975 for the next 3 years. So that's a really good contract right there. They have Claude Giroux. He's still producing well for his age, 64 points. Vladimir Tarasenko was traded away, but he had 41 points in 57 games before the trade, so that was good. They had Jacob Chychrun. They traded him away now, which was interesting. I mean, he put up 14 goals, 27 assists, 41 points for defenseman. Really good, but a minus 30, which is abysmal. And Timmy Stützle was a minus 17 as well. Jake Sanderson, young defenseman, pretty good season, 38 points, 10 goals in 79 games. He's got the big extension now. Matthew Joseph, I believe they traded him away, did they not? Maybe, I'm not sure. Anyway, 35 points in 72 games. Josh Norton, we talked about him. Thomas Chabot, pretty decent season, but again, injury-riddled season, 51 games, 30 points. You had the Shane Pinto problem last year where he missed half the season for a gambling problem or whatever the hell was going on there. So he got into 41 games, missed half the season, got 27 points. He played well, but yeah, when you miss half the season, that's just, that's rough. They have Ridley Gregg, who's pretty solid, 26 points. Yeah, man, there's a lot of people on this team. A lot of people played games last season. So they have David Perron now. He's 36 years old, coming off a not-so-great season. I don't know if that one's really going to do a lot to make them a whole lot better. Like, yeah, David Perron, he's a Stanley Cup winner, and he's a leader, but I don't know if that's enough, really, you know what I'm saying? They had Michael Amadio. I guess they brought him in too. I didn't see his name on that list. He might still. Amadio. No, I don't see his name there, so he must be new. So they brought in Amadio. They have Noah Gregor, who they brought in from Toronto. He's just kind of a bottom six depth forward. Zach McEwen. Angus Crookshank. That's a fucking awesome name. And they had not re-signed Dominic Kubalik, who I thought was okay. He still doesn't have a contract with anybody. No one's taking a shot at this guy at 28 years old. I don't know. Maybe I would, but I don't know, man. This is not... Like, there's good players here, like Stützle, Brady, Kachuk, Norris, Giroux, Batherson. Like, these are good players, but just these players haven't gotten it done yet. So what's to say that they're going to do it now? They hadn't really done a lot to make the team a whole lot better. Up front, they brought in David Perron, which is like a move, but they also lost like DeBrincat. They've lost Tarasenko, and like that whole, they lost Chikrin. Like they're losing a lot of the big names that they've brought in and gave up a lot for to bring them in, and they didn't get a lot out of them. So they have Jake Sanderson, Chabot, Artem Zub, Nick Jensen, Travis Hamonic, and then you got Clevin and Bernard Docker rounding out the depth for their defense. It's an alright defense. Like, Jake Sanderson looks like he's going to be a stud. He's only 22. Thomas Chabot is like a really good top four defenseman. Artem Zub, maybe a little underrated defensive defenseman, but yeah, their defense core doesn't really shout out to me either. Their forward group has some like good stuff, but their depth is maybe a little bit lacking. And then goaltending. So this is going to be the big one right here. They made the huge move. They got rid of Korpisalo, who was abysmal, almost unplayable for them last season. He was really, really bad. Let's just take a look at those goaltending stats. Korpisalo in 55 games had an .890 and a 3.27 goals against. So yeah, just not good enough for a starting goaltender. And they have Forsberg here. He played in 30 games, also an .890 save percentage. So he's sticking around, but they got Linus Ullmark, who was a stud last season for the Boston Bruins, who is a way different team than the Ottawa Senators. Like, Boston has a better defense. Boston has a better defensive system. They have better... It's just a better system. So, I mean, I don't know if... that's a very big question mark. Like, is Linus Ullmark going to be able to be good enough behind this Ottawa defense to steal them enough games to get into the playoffs? Like, I don't know about that one, man. I don't know about that one. Like, he's a good goalie, but definitely the best goalie they've had in a little while, for sure, and they have him only for one more year at $5 million, so they're rather going to see if this works, and if it doesn't, then maybe he just walks, and that was a complete waste of a trade, or they give him an extension, and what if he plays bad? Now they have another goalie playing badly on a big extension that's going to be really tough to get rid of. And then they have Forsberg, who is on a one more year, 2.75. I don't think a team would take that in a trade with an .890 save percentage. I don't know. He's 31. Like, I always thought he was a younger goaltender, but no, they're both 31 years old, Ullmark and Forsberg. So kind of a veteran-ish tandem in net. This team still doesn't look like a playoff team to me, which sucks to say. It just doesn't. They have one more year of Claude Giroux. I mean, he could potentially get traded out and go somewhere to chase another Stanley Cup or chase a Stanley Cup. He's not won one yet. And if Ottawa is out of the playoffs, then yeah, I could see Claude Giroux, getting traded off, maybe half salary retained, and maybe try and get something back for Giroux. They only have about $2 million in cap space to play with right now, so there isn't a lot that they can do. Yeah, I'm still not impressed with this team, even if, Timmy Stützle bounces back to a 90-point player and Brady Tkachuk can get to 90 points, maybe 40-plus goals. Everyone can stay healthy. That just hasn't been the way of the team. Injuries are always happening. Fucking some sort of drama is always happening. If Allmark gets injured, that's probably going to sink the team. They have to get off to a good start, which they generally never do. So, yeah, I honestly still don't have the Ottawa Senators looking to be making it into the playoffs. I'm not very impressed with what they did in the offseason. I don't think it was enough. Yes, they brought in Allmark. That was a lot. And addressing a huge problem that they have with the goaltending. But, their defense is still not looking that good. So, I don't know. Maybe Jake Sanderson really emerges and becomes one of the top 10 defensemen in the league, maybe even better. But right now, I think he's maybe a little bit overpaid, maybe a little overhyped, but he is really good. He is really good. But now you're making big boy money, so now you got to play like a big boy every single game, and if you don't, you're going to get scrutinized every single time. So we'll see what happens with Ottawa, man, but right now, I don't have Ottawa making it into the playoffs. All right, well, we definitely have time to do another overview, and we've done 4 Eastern teams in a row. So let's go to the West, and let's go with the best in the West, the Anaheim Ducks. I'm just kidding. They were awful last year with a 27-50-5 record, 7th in the Pacific, 2.48 goals against, which was 30th. They were 30th in goals against. They were 23rd in the power play and 31st in the penalty kill. They couldn't score. They couldn't keep the puck out of their net. Fuck. So yeah, this team is definitely rebuilding and on the up and ups. Last season, though, was maybe worse than expected. Everyone was like, yeah, it's going to be bad, but that bad? I don't think people were expecting it to be that bad. So you can hopefully hope for a better season than last year that the Ducks had, which was abysmal. Was there any bright spot on this team last season? I really don't know or think there was. So they have $21 million in cap space right now. They can definitely take on a bad contract or two and help a team out if they wanted to do that. They have an extra third, an extra fourth, and an extra fifth in this year's draft. They don't have a second, but they got everything else. They don't have a fourth next year, and that's it. They got everything else. So they're doing pretty good. I don't know if they really need any more draft picks. They have a ton of young players up and coming, so we'll go through their salary cap right now. They got Troy Terry, really good players, 26 years old, still fits in great with the team, $7 million for the next 4 seasons. I mean, he didn't have the best year last season, but no one on the team had a really good year. But Troy Terry, 76 games, 54 points. Yeah, it was okay. I mean, you want him to get back into that 30-goal range, that would be great. But yeah, I like Troy Terry a lot. Frank Vatrano had a hell of a season for Anaheim last year. Shockingly didn't get traded, but 37 goals for Frank the Tank Vatrano last season. 60 points. He was a -20, so take that with that. They have Alex Killorn. He's still here for 3 more seasons at 6.25. I mean, it doesn't hurt their salary cap. They kind of need him here to hit the floor, but that's way too much money for Alex Killorn at 34 years old. What did he even do last season? I feel like he was hurt. 63 games, so he didn't get into all the games, 36 points. He had 18 goals, so not bad, but definitely overpaid. Trevor Zegras is a very interesting player. He's 23. He's super skilled. But there's been rumors of this guy getting traded. Last year was an utter disaster for him. He was injured, only got into 31 games, 15 points. Yikes. So he's looking for a major bounce back in a major way, and he needs it. He's still on a good contract, 5.75. He can get back to the player that he was. That's fine. Very tradable, I would imagine. But maybe Anaheim's looking for the sun and the moon, and other people aren't seeing it. He's highly skilled, but he's definitely lacking in terms of defense. They have Ryan Strome. He's pretty solid, $5 million for the next 3 years. They brought in Robbie Fabry for 1 year, $4 million. They have Frank Vatrano still here for 3.75 $6 million for the next year, so maybe he gets traded this season, or, I mean, fuck, I don't know what they're going to do. If he keeps putting up 30-plus goals at $3.6 million, they can get a lot for that. Brock McGinn, 1 year, $2.75. They have Isaac Lunderstrom, Ross Johnston, Brett Leeson, Cutter Gauthier, who they brought over from Philadelphia. Should be, if he gets into the lineup, definitely going to be lots of eyes on him, especially Philadelphia Flyers fans, to try and make sure he fails. But he is just one of many young forwards they have. They have Gauthier, they have Leo Carlsson, who's going into his sophomore. His rookie season was really good, but they were doing like the load management thing with him, so he didn't get into all the games, got into 55 games, 12 goals, 29 points. Not great, not bad, so expecting him to build on that this year. The question will be, are they going to let him play in all the games, or are they going to take him out, let him do some conditioning, let him do weight training, get more muscle? He's still only 19 years old. And then we have Mason McTavish, probably my favorite player on the team. Really hope that this guy can become the future captain. I just really like Mason McTavish. He's 21 years old. He had a pretty good season last year. 64 games, didn't get into all the games, 42 points, 19 goals. He was a minus 23. Like, there's not a lot of pluses on this team outside of Adam Henrique and Jacob Silverberg and Radkel Gudas, who did quite well. Regardless, Mason McTavish, if he can stay healthy, I can see this guy doing like a 30-30, 30 goals, 30 assists, 60-plus points. I think that would be great, and he will continue to grow because he's a good little player, and I like him a lot. But no, this forward group definitely is not good enough to make it in the playoffs. It's pretty weak, and if they're going to trade off more things, like if they do want to trade off Frank Vatrano, that's your best goal scorer gone, and yeah, I don't know if they, it doesn't make any sense to trade away Trevor Zegras. Like, I don't know why that's a storyline out there with the Ducks, and maybe their relationship's bad. I don't know. Maybe they just don't see, like, a future with this player. Like, hey, if we're going to be winning, like, this isn't the kind of player that you win with. He's too flashy. He's having too much fun out there. Maybe. I don't know. But very interesting situation going on with Trevor Zegras and all the young forwards they have in Anaheim, and they have a lot of young defensemen as well. But Cam Fowler is not one of those young defensemen. 32, 6.5 for the next 2 years. This guy's a lifelong Anaheim Duck. He ain't going anywhere. They have Radkel Gudas, who I said had a nice plus-minus, so he's been doing his job, $4 million for the next 2 years. All right. Brian Dumoulin, I think they brought him in 1 year, 3.15. They have Urho Vakanainen, Jackson Lacombe, Pavel Michukov. There you go. Minchukov. There you go. That's better. He was very, very impressive last season. He had 63 games played, 28 points. I know that doesn't scream out on the paper, but for an Anaheim Duck, rookie defenseman, that is pretty nice. He is 20 years old. And they have Olin Zellweger, who I've heard tons of great things about. Another young defenseman, 20 years old. Zellweger did get into 26 games last season, got 9 points, so we can see, hopefully, maybe get a full season out of Zellweger. They have Gustav Lindstrom, and then, of course, in net, there's the John Gibson and Lucas Dahlstall. So John Gibson hasn't had a good season in like 7 years. He's been on the trade block for ever and never gets traded. No one's going to take him on at 6.4. There's still 3 more years on that deal. He's 31. Like, yes, it's almost a guarantee if he gets traded at Anaheim, he'll be a better goalie wherever he ends up, but I just don't think he is worth $6.4 million wherever he goes. That's just way too much money, but they have Lucas Dahlstall back there, kind of the future in net, and he looks pretty good, 24 years old. Let's take a look. He had a 902, which is amazing considering the team that he's on. So, yeah, the future's looking pretty bright for Lucas Dahlstall. John Gibson had an 888, just classically awful, as usual, though I really like John Gibson. It's honest, I don't think it's his fault, because I've seen the same pattern with John Gibson the last 4 or 5 years now. He starts off, he is amazing. He is so good at the beginning of the season. He's getting shutouts. He's just playing out of his mind. And then he runs out of gas, and then he falls apart, and the team falls apart, and that's that. So I think John Gibson just blows his load early, trying to get the team competitive, and then he just runs out of gas. I think that's what's happening here. But, yeah, safe to say, I mean, their defense, it has some up-and-comers that you're pretty excited about in Zellweger and Michnikov, and there's probably some other ones in the system that I'm just not seeing here right now. But yeah, Anaheim obviously not going to be in playoff contention. I would imagine they would like to get out of the lottery race as well. Like, they don't want to be a bottom 5 team again, but if they are, then they get another good draft pick, which they've been getting a lot of great draft picks lately. They have a lot of young players, very good players. It's just, eventually they're going to hit that, like, Ottawa Senator, Buffalo Sabre wall where it's like, all right, you built up enough, you have all these young players, some of them are even locked into contracts now, and it's like, let's go, let's get into the playoffs. And that is a very, very difficult step to get to. From going from tear it down and then rebuild it up and to get back into the playoffs, extremely difficult to do in this NHL that we're in right now. So it may not work. We could be watching a failed rebuild in the making right here. Like, these guys may not make it, but I'm pretty what's the optimistic for the Anaheim Ducks and their future. Not this season, probably not the next one after that, but maybe that one after that. That's when we start seeing a competitive Ducks team, and that would be great. I want the logos back, the Mighty Duck thing. Like, yeah, I want that to be awesome again. It's been since 2007 since the Ducks won a Stanley Cup, and we'll see what happens with them. But no, I most certainly do not have them making it into the playoffs this season. Curious to hear what you guys think the Anaheim Ducks are going to do this season. Are they going to be... I can't see them being any worse. It's just the question being, are they going to load manage? How much longer are they going to do the load managing thing with Leo Carlsson before they let the young man gallop? And let's see what this guy's really got. So there you go. That's the Anaheim Ducks. All right, fuck it. I'm feeling it. Let's do another team. Let's do the Chicago Blackhawks. An easy one because, they weren't very good and probably won't be very good this season either. So we look at where, oh my goodness. So they were 32nd in goals scored last season, 29th in goals against, 28th in power play, and 27th in penalty kill. So they were not good, and they found themselves at the bottom of the league expectedly. They're definitely in a long rebuild right here, but they got themselves Connor Bedard, who was their leading scorer in every category last season, and he didn't even play a full 82. So that's pretty much what the Chicago Blackhawks get to hold their hopes on right now, is that Connor Bedard is going to be the centerpiece, and so far so good. It looks pretty damn good. Okay, so in terms of the cap space for this team, they have just about $6.6 million left. So, they have a little bit. They could take on a bad contract if they want to. Definitely. They are loaded up in terms of draft picks already. They have 2 first rounds this season, 2 seconds, no third, 2 fourths, no fifth, a 6th, and a 7th. So they're doing well in terms of draft capital. They have 3 seconds in 26, 2 fourths, no 7th. They have an extra second in 27. So yeah, they have a lot of draft capital to play with, no doubt, as a team should when you are rebuilding. Now, in terms of cap space, it's where the hell is all this money going? Like, I'm not seeing a lot of money up here. I'm not seeing a lot. I mean, Seth Jones makes a lot of money. There's definitely a lot of dead cap here. Hold on. Nothing buried. We got some penalties. Okay, well, let's just take it one step at a time. Let's go to the statistics. So obviously Connor Bedard led this team last season, 68 games played, 61 points, 22 goals, 39 assists. A shocking minus 44. Now there are some alarming minuses on this team, and sadly, I think Connor Bedard is the worst plus minus with his partner Philip Kurashev, but kind of expected. They're both super young players learning the game, and yeah, so hopefully that's going to get a little bit better, but that is very, very bad. Not really blaming Connor Bedard. Again, he's super young. It was his first season. So they have Philip Kurashev as well, who was pretty freaking good last season, I must say. I had him in fantasy for a period here and there, especially when he was on a hot streak. 75 games played, 54 points, 18 goals. Not bad. He can build on that season. How old is Philip Kurashev right now? That is what I want to know. How old are you, young man? 24? Oh, he's not a young man no more. Never mind. Fuck that. All right. It's over for Chicago. They're not going to make it. But in all seriousness, Kurashev is a damn good player. You know what? Sportsnet, this website is trash. Whenever I go back to do anything, it changes my whole entire page. So so the point production seriously drops off after Philip Kurashev. So we had 54 points for him, and then the next highest scoring forward is 37 points for Nick Foligno, who is a veteran, and smart to have veterans surrounding this team and a lot of the young players. So Nick Foligno, back again. Jason Dickinson, I do believe they traded away, but he did have 22 goals for them last season, so that was pretty good. In terms of what they're spending in money, so they have Taylor Hall, who got hella injured last season. I don't even know if he played that many games at all. He played in 10 games total, had 4 points, and was a -3. So nothing crazy. He's making $6 million for the next 1 year. So hopefully he can bounce back, get some more points. There could be a potential they trade him. Could be a potential he just walks and goes somewhere else. Guess it depends how this season goes down. They brought in Tyler Bertuzzi, former Toronto Maple Leaf, for $5.5 million for 4 years. Not a bad contract. I would have been fine if the Leafs signed him to that. I would have been okay with it, but he's definitely going to have a bigger opportunity here. He could potentially be playing with Connor Bedard for those 4 seasons, and that would be great for Tyler. They brought back Tervo Teravainen after trading him away a long time ago in a really bad trade, but he's back now, 29 years old, $5.4 million, and that should be your second-line center for this team behind Connor Bedard. So not a horrible 1-2 punch. You got Nick Foligno, 2 more years, 4.5. I think they may have brought in Andre Athanasiou for $4.25 million. No one is paying him that much money anywhere else. All right, so Jason Dickinson is still here. 2 more seasons at 4.25. 29-year-old center. Again, if they wanted to trade this guy, he had 22 goals last season. He's fairly responsible. He's a pretty good two-way forward, so that could be a decent trade target. They brought in Ilya Mikheyev, one of those kind of bad contracts that they can bring in. Maybe they can recoup what he was, maybe get him back to a 20-goal scorer, but did not work out at all in Vancouver. That's where he was. Former Toronto Maple Leaf. Worked out pretty good for him there. Philip Kurashev talked about him. Good younger player. Ryan Donato is here for $2 million. They brought in Pat Maroon for some leadership. That means they got to be going to the Stanley Cup Finals. They have a young man, Lucas Reichel, Connor Bedard, obviously. Craig Smith is here for $1 million, 34-year-old. Pretty good depth right there. Joey Anderson is here, and they have not signed Tyler Johnson. So potential they could bring him back, but more than likely not, considering they have Tervo Teravainen now. They should be good. So, yeah, it's not a very great forward group, obviously. There's a decent mix of some veterans there. They did bring in Tervo Teravainen and Tyler Bertuzzi, kind of like some 2 more second line players, pretty decent. It's definitely an upgrade over last year, and you're going to have another season of Connor Bedard, who should just be continuing to get better, hoping for a nice healthy season for Connor Bedard, and that would be great. Work on that plus minus, and but no, this forward group, that's not what I would call playoff level. Defense-wise, oh dear. Okay, so we have Seth Jones, still here, 4 more years, $9.5 million. He shoots right, so that's good. He does put up points defensively. You know what I'm saying. We got Alex Vlasic. I do not know who this player is. $4.6 million for the next 4 seasons. Who the fuck are you? Vlasic. Okay, there he is. 76 games, 2 goals, 14 assists, 16 points, and he was only a -4. I completely understand now. This guy is amazing. How can you only be a -4 playing that many games on defense? Hell yeah, okay, justified. 4.6, I'm into it. Connor Murphy's still here, 2 more years, 4.4. They brought in Alec Martinez. Holy shit, 1 year, $4 million. He's 37 years old, so might be buying damaged goods right here, but he should be still good to block some shots. They brought in TJ Brody, former Toronto Maple Leaf. He had a very rough last season and a half or so with the Leafs. I don't really know what happened, man. Like, he's not an extremely physical defenseman. He's very good at stick checking, damn good at the odd man rushes, but not recently. And at 3.75, that may not age very well, but hey, he might bounce back and have a solid season. They have Kevin Korchinski, who is one of their young up-and-coming defensemen, and they have not re-signed Jared Tenorti. So, they did upgrade the defense. They brought in Brody, brought in Martinez. It's just they're older and kind of damaged goods. So I don't know how much of an effect, positive effect, they're going to have on the defense, but it's a slight upgrade over last year. And then in net, they have Peter Mrazek, who was actually quite good for them last season. Let's pull up his stats here. 56 games, only 8. He went 18, 31, and 4. I mean, not the greatest win-loss, but a 907 save percentage. Hey, that's not bad at all right there. 907 save percentage on a shitty team, that's really good. They had Arvid Soderblom. He might still be in their minors. He played in 32 games, and he was a 879. So I don't think they're planning on bringing him back because they have Laurent Brossoit. Brossoit is on the job. He's here 2 years, $3.3 million, and that's a solid-ish backup. I know he didn't have a good run in Buffalo, but I will always remember the awesome run that Laurent Brossoit had in Winnipeg. He was awesome. It might have been a different goalie. And no, it was a different goalie. That was Comrie. Anyway, Laurent Brossoit, he's pretty damn good. But 3.3 might be a little bit rich, considering that, Stolarz got 2-point-something million in Toronto, and I feel like Stolarz is, better. Anyway, so they have a fairly competent 1-2 punch in net. And, there's probably a ton of young guys in their system that are planning and hoping to come up at some point, but I don't know all their fucking names. So that's their team. I just want to see if there was anyone else. So Seth Jones, he only got into 67 games last season, had 31 points and a minus 15. Not great, but when you compare it to some of the other guys on the team, not bad, I guess. But it's bad. It's bad. So it's not looking good in Chicago. They should be a little bit better than they were last season, definitely. Should be getting some more wins, being a little bit, move up maybe a spot or two in the standings, but no, this team is absolutely not a threat whatsoever to challenge for the Stanley Cup or the playoffs or anything like that yet, but hey, so far so good. It's going to be another fun season of Connor Bedard and just kind of seeing what this kid is all about. I mean, his shot is insane. I mean, it really does look like very... not comparable, but it looks like a deadly-ass shot like Austin Matthews. Like, that thing is violent. That's what I would call Connor Bedard's shot. That thing is violent. It's got some stank on it, and it is damn impressive. But sadly, the Chicago Blackhawks team is not that impressive just yet, so I don't have them making the playoffs. And I think that's going to do it. I got 4 teams in for this overview this week. I'm going to try to keep it at 4. 3 to 4. If I can push for 4, that would be good. I feel like we're still on a good pace to make it into, before the regular season starts. We're on a good pace right now. Should be okay. Now, in terms of teams that I have done the overviews for. If you don't hear your team's name, then suggest it. Send in an email or something, Twitter comment, YouTube comment, and I will do your team next. But so far we've done Nashville, Calgary, Pittsburgh, Washington, Edmonton, Carolina, Philadelphia, Columbus, San Jose, Buffalo, Minnesota, Montreal, New York Rangers, Colorado, New York Islanders, New Jersey, Detroit, Ottawa, Anaheim, and the Chicago Blackhawks. So those are all the ones that I've done so far. If you didn't hear your favorite team, I didn't hear my favorite team's name, Toronto Maple Leafs, but we'll get to them. We will get to them. I'm still waiting for something more to happen with them, but there's no rush. We're not in a rush for the Toronto Maple Leafs just yet. There'll be lots of Leaf talk coming at some point, but that'll do it for me, folks. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. You the best. You want to be even more of the best, though? Make sure you're hitting that review and hitting the stars and doing whatever the heck you got to do. Really helps me and the podcast out. And if you want to be even more involved, there's a Twitter page you can go follow along with. I try my best to put up announcements and all that crap, but I'm not very good at it. I try. And then there's a YouTube channel where I upload all of these episodes to the Gamer GX Videos YouTube channel. All the links are in the description. You can subscribe to that channel, and a great place to drop a comment on those videos. You want a question answered live on the podcast, I would love to answer that question. Anything about wrestling, hockey, video games would be preferred, but I'll try my best. Hey, wife, you exist, right? Say hello.
Of course I do.
There you go, everybody. My wife exists. I told you, she's not fake. And there, she laughs too. She thinks I'm funny. And so she threw me off. She fucked me up. Now I'm all fucked up. All right, well, thank you everybody so much for listening. And, in terms of what else we got going on with the podcast this week, I'm going to be doing a video game magazine episode for the GamerCast this week, going back in time, going to be talking about the video game magazines that I grew up with and just talking about video game magazines in general, because they're gone now. That's it. They're fucking done. So hopefully you read a magazine before it's too late. But, well, it's too late now. So we'll talk about them this week on the GamerCast and the WrestleCast. Will be a regular recap. There's no pay-per-views, I don't think, this week. I think next week's... There was Wembley's coming at some point at the end of the month, so we'll be doing that. And, yeah, so there you go. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. We'll be back again with some GX Plus Cast.